Hey everybody, welcome back to the Tipsy Ghost. We're your tipsy hosts, Sarah, and Lindsay.
Hey guys.
Hello.
What were you asking Lindsay before we started?
I asked if she had read An Anonymous Girl.
And I said I had not.
I think you should. It's the only book that I have rated 5 stars on Goodreads.
And this is where I got clutching my pearls a little bit that she has only rated one book a 5-star.
I'm very picky though.
And I told her I have a whole rating system, and I pulled up my Goodreads.
This is where I said you need to save it for the podcast. Your rating system.
My rating system.
Everybody's got to hear it.
I've read, according to Goodreads, 465 books.
What is Goodreads? Tell me and the listeners.
Goodreads is an app or a website that tracks all your books. So it tracks your books you want to read. It tracks your books you've read. It has every book that's probably been written. And then you can give it a rating once you finish it from 1 to 5. 1 being the least, 5 being the most.
Okay.
Like, I loved it. It's a 5. I hated it. It's a 1.
I figured.
Okay. Out of my 465 books that I've read in my life, which is probably
oh my gosh,
way more than that, but that's just me. Like,
it's like a social media profile?
Yes.
Oh. Okay.
So 465 that I have actually read, which might be more because I downloaded this like 2-3 years ago. So it's not like I was keeping track from birth, but whatever.
Okay. That's only from 2 years ago.
Out of my 465 books, 23 of those are 2-star reads. Nothing is a 1-star read.
Oh.
So I am like shocked that you have only 1 5-star when I probably have like 100 5 stars.
No,
You
so
just really love it.
Here's how it goes. I have a lot of 4 stars. Like, yeah, I mean, it's good, but it's not great. I only have 1 3-star.
Oh, the bulk of mine are 3 stars.
And then I only have 1 5-star.
This is how you do paranormal ratings too, just FYI.
Gosh,
yes.
You're looking for mind-blowing evidence, which
It's
I get. We all
It's
are.
either excellent or
It was just okay.
it's fine.
Yeah.
I have about 80 5-star reads on mine, and the rest are mainly 4s and 3s. I've never rated a book a 1-star. To rate it a 1-star means like I didn't even finish it.
You're a 9, so I can count on one hand how many books I finished in my life outside of high school.
If it's a 5-star, I feel like I need to read that.
You got to read it.
An Anonymous Girl by Greer Hendricks.
Yes.
Done. So I go to the bookstore every week and I pull up my Goodreads and I look at books I want to read. And that's how I pick out my book.
I'm currently reading a Lindsay recommendation,
Mm-hmm.
The Book of Cold Cases.
I love Simone St. James. I have been really into her books lately. Are you liking it?
So far, yes. Yes.
She writes thrillers that also have a paranormal aspect to them.
I would do like an audiobook of that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's all
She's
I
very
do.
popular.
I don't read.
You listen.
I listen.
I'm an audio learner.
And
Yes.
I am the opposite. I cannot do an audiobook. Tried it once and I cannot, so I solely read.
No, this works better for me because my downtime is whenever I'm not home and not at work. So whenever I'm commuting either
Yeah.
to work, my commute is about 20-25 minutes to work. And so that gives me a solid chunk of time where I'm not listening to music, I'm just listening to a book.
Cool. So this only
Um,
keeps track of the books you read. It's not where you actually get the books from. You get them from the like online
Right.
library.
In the library. Yeah.
Mine's
okay.
connected to my library card.
This
Oh.
is just for tracking books, this app.
Okay. Well, you've almost got me convinced that I'd like to listen to a book.
It is probably one of my most used apps outside of like Facebook and Instagram.
Oh.
I know. I keep getting updates, like email updates from Lindsay. I'm like, okay, I
Take
get
me
it.
off your notifications.
She read 20 books this week.
I
I
read
understand.
10 or 11 last month.
Do you want me to friend you so you can feel better?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to tell you guys a story.
Entertain me.
Entertain me.
I said it with much more gusto.
You guys sounded great together right there.
Entertain me.
There you
I
go.
would love to. This is my paranormal commuter episode.
Ooh.
Can you sing paranormal?
Paranormal.
No.
No, you didn't like that? Okay. What do you
No.
want me to sing it like?
Like the way you
I try
normally
to do like spooky. I only sing true crime. Do I sing paranormal?
No, you sing
Yeah,
paranormal.
you sing
I do smorgy.
That too.
literally everything you sing.
I do. I am a Linda Belcher.
Do you want me to tell you how it is?
How do I sing paranormal?
Paranormal.
Okay. I do sing it like that sometimes.
Yes.
All right. Paranormal. I didn't like that either. No, I didn't like any of those. You can't put me on the spot.
All right. Well, so halfway through your story, if you're like feeling it, just
If
throw
I'm
it in
feeling
there.
it, I'll throw it in.
Okay.
March 24th, 1962.
Okay.
Oh,
I'm
I
there.
love the 60s.
Florida.
Okay.
Specifically, we are going to the Gulf of Mexico, Fort Walton Beach.
Don't know that one, but okay.
I don't know that one either, but I know the Gulf of Mexico.
Okay, same.
So we're going to say that. All right. 5 Florida teenagers. They went on a raft to go do some skin diving. That is what it is called.
Oh, that sounds terrifying. Do they dive into skin suits?
I was just gonna say.
That is exactly.
It sounds like they put on a skin suit and go for a
what
dive.
that means. It is basically free diving. So it's not like scuba diving. They don't have equipment or masks. They are just holding their breath for a really long time and diving down.
Ed Gein, is that you?
Oh boy.
Oh, because of the skin?
I was like, why are you looking at me like that?
Diving?
He wore skin suits, yeah.
All right, so they are
in the Gulf of
basically
Mexico.
freestyle diving.
I still don't understand how like just holding your breath translates to skin diving, but okay.
Because they're not using any equipment. They're just using their skin.
Okay.
That's what it's called. I don't make up these things.
Why didn't you ask the people before you wrote this?
I should have sent a strongly worded email.
You should
I
have.
demand
to know why you call it this.
Can we change it?
Can
It
you
sounds
please
horrifying.
put me in touch with Webster and the dictionary?
Yes, okay.
CC Wikipedia while you're at it. So they were going to go skin diving, which is basically just...
Can we not call it?
It's what he keeps calling it in the story.
Can we just say
Oh, no.
diving?
They're
It's
going
more than
diving.
once?
They're
Okay.
going diving, but they are not going, like, it's not professional
I got
diving.
it, I got
okay.
it.
So there is a submerged shipwreck, the USS Massachusetts, that is about 2 miles from the shore in the Gulf of Mexico on around a sandbar. That is their goal. They want to go see this shipwreck. They want to go dive.
Is it light out or day out?
Can we just wait?
Okay.
We're not there yet.
I can't get past skin diving.
Did you think you would when you were writing this?
No.
You knew.
I
But is
Googled it and I was like, they're going to have a problem with
Is
this.
it light or day?
They go
I
in
can
during
only
the
skin
day.
dive at
They're
night.
going during the day.
I do
All right.
not want people seeing my skin suit.
2 miles from the shore in the Gulf of Mexico. 5 teenagers leave.
Okay, yeah, we're back to this. Okay.
1 returns.
That is not many.
Thank you.
Some got lost.
So the survivor is Brian McCleary, and he is 16. So when he was found asleep on the shore the next day, and the raft had washed ashore with him with face masks, shoes, and fins all inside, but the other 4 teenagers were missing.
And their skin.
Suits.
Their names: Eric Ruley, he is 16. Bradford Rice, 14 years old. Warren Felly, 16 years old. Larry Bill, 17. And Brian, who was 16. All 5 are friends. They are from Fort Walton Beach, Florida. So what happened on this day? They were on their raft, which was about a 7-foot-long Air Force raft. And they were sailing towards the shipwreck when all of a sudden the day turned dark and stormy out of nowhere.
Well, there you go.
So
Your
the
question
only
has been answered.
It was day, but so I will say the only testimony we have is Brian's because he's the only survivor. So this is all per his testimony. He said there was a beautiful day, there wasn't a cloud in the sky, blah blah blah. But while they were at sea, the weather changed. He said the waters suddenly became turbulent and carried them further and further out to sea. So they started freaking out. They left the raft because they tried to swim to shore, remembering, they're only going about 2 miles offshore. 2 of the teenagers jumped out, and they first tried to push the raft while the other 3 stayed on the raft and rowed, but they were not getting anywhere because of the current. They tried to wave down a passing boat, but it did not stop. They tried to attach their raft even to a buoy as they were passing by, but were unable to do so. So the raft starts flooding. Everybody gets back in the raft. They tried to get the water out of it, but it's starting to get dark. It's starting to rain. The current is still pulling them out to sea and past the shipwreck. So they're now past 2 miles into the open water. So according to Brian, all of a sudden, in the middle of all of this, a fog appeared. And he said, quote, "After a time, the wind and the rain and the waves subsided and a thick fog rolled in." He described the silence and stillness, quote, as "not a wave rippled, not a fish broke water, not a seagull called." And then from the fog emerged
A pirate ship.
A swamp woman.
a sea monster.
Oh, yes.
Loch Ness. Nessie.
Brian later gave a version of his story to a magazine called My Escape from a Sea Monster.
Obviously.
And
that
this
whole
was,
magazine is called that?
Well, no, he published a story in it.
Oh.
This was in Fate magazine in May
how
of
many
1965.
stories do they have about sea monsters?
So many.
There's a whole magazine devoted to sea monsters.
It comes
An
out
escape
weekly.
from-
Have you not subscribed to them?
Yeah.
I've been subscribed for like years.
Where have I been?
All right, so this is in Fate magazine in May 1965. So I'm just going to kind of basically read from his words. So like I said, calm before the storm happens. He said that for the first time in his life, he was really scared. And this is all quoted. Rice, who was one of the teenagers, said, quote, "We're dead. We died in that storm." But Roll, who was another teen, assured him that they would be fine. Visibility was limited to 25 feet and there was no wind. McCleary, who is Brian, who survived, says the water was unusually warm, which this is March. Shouldn't be that warm. Larry suddenly said, "Shh, I hear a boat or something." As they listened, the air became filled with the odor of dead fish. They
Ew.
heard a large splash about 40 feet away. The wave that followed was large enough to break over the side of their raft. They heard a second splash, and through the fog were able to make out an object that looked like a telephone pole with a bulb on top. It was about 10 feet out of the water. The object bent in half and dove under the water. There was a period of silence followed by a high-pitched whine coming out from the fog.
So the telephone pole dove under the water.
Like a narwhal is what I'm thinking here.
Oh.
A telephone pole.
narwhal?
It
With
looked like a telephone pole, they said, with a bulb on top.
It's a whale with a unicorn horn.
Right.
So at this point, of course, the boys are panicking. They put on their fins, which remembered were found on shore,
Okay.
and dove into the water. So at this point, they're just like, listen, the raft, we're not pushing the raft. We're not able to row it. Let's just swim for the shore, which 2 miles sounds miserable, but hey. So the surface was covered with patches of brown, crusty slime.
Ew.
Boogers.
So they are not far from the ship wreckage of the USS Massachusetts, which was the original goal.
Cool.
So they started swimming towards that wreck
Yes.
because that's on a sandbar. So
Okay.
they're thinking, you know, you're in open water. Let's swim towards the sandbar first. So McCleary, the survivor, and Royal, they are in the lead. And behind them, they can hear the splashing and hissing noises. Although the fog was clearing, it had begun to rain again and was getting dark, and the waves were starting to pick up again. The first scream lasted maybe half a minute. Felly
That is a really long scream.
Scream? Who's screaming?
Felly cried, "It's got Brad!" But then his voice was suddenly cut off. McCleary yelled back to Felly and Rice, but there was no response. So Bill was now swimming with both of them, and some time passed before McCleary became aware that Bill was no longer with him.
Oh, no.
Then there was a flash of lightning, which revealed the wreck of the USS Massachusetts. Another flash revealed Royal swimming ahead of McCleary towards the ship. Then the telephone pole creature, that's what it's called,
Really?
surfaced next to Royal. It had 2 small eyes. It opened its mouth and fell upon Royal, disappearing with him below the surface. Somehow, McCleary made it to shore, although he does not remember how, and the next thing he knows, he woke up in the Pensacola Naval Base Hospital.
Wow.
While he was in the hospital, he talked to Search and Rescue, obviously, and the Coast Guard and everybody, and he drew this picture.
That
It's
looks
Nessie.
like Loch Ness.
It looks like Nessie. It honestly does. Like
It
a
has-
plesiosaur.
Nessie with like a buoy on her back.
That is just
well, there she
one.
is. Nessie has reared her
is-
ugly head.
Nessie
With-
has traveled to the Gulf of Mexico.
Apparently, she's now described as a light pole.
Telephone pole.
Close set eyes.
Telephone pole. So Brian wakes up in the hospital. He tells Search and Rescue his story and draws them a picture which looks like Nessie.
Yes. Yesy.
But the media and people were quick to point out that it looked a lot like this Cecil, the seasick sea serpent. I should
Oh,
say that
no.
5 times fast.
Who did that?
From a children's cartoon that had recently aired. Cecil, the seasick sea serpent.
Well, that was impressive.
Thank you. I really tried. I had to focus.
Cecil the seasick sea serpent.
Nope.
You try.
Whitson. Cecil,
Nope.
the seasick sea serpent.
Cecil the seasick sea serpent. I did it.
Good
Good
job.
job.
You did.
This was a cartoon character that was around and on TV, and they were like, this looks like Cecil.
Why isn't it Cecil?
No, I said Cecil.
So you don't know.
C-E-C-I-L?
Cecil.
Cecil.
Cecil. I'm calling it Cecil. All right.
Cecil, the seasick sea serpent.
It's still hard to say. Obviously, search and rescue is looking for these boys, these 4 teenagers. Only one body has been found to this day, and that is of Brad Rice, which Brian identified, and it was determined that his cause of death was drowning and that there was no other injuries noted that you would think would be accompanied with, like, his story of a sea monster.
Maybe just got dragged underwater.
So Brian, of course, became depressed after this. I mean, he went through some stuff.
Yes,
he watched whatever you think of this story of whether the monster is real or whatever happened, which I'm going to get to. He lost 4 of his friends, and he was the only survivor. He had survivor's guilt. He had a nervous breakdown a few months after the incident. He died in 2017, but he reportedly was traumatized and depressed that nobody believed him and that he lost these friends and couldn't talk about it. So what really happened? So one theory is a bubble of methane gas.
A fart? It's a whale fart.
Dolphins? Sharks. Shark fart. Shart.
It has been a long time since we've gone...
Shark fart is shark.
A shart is when you poop your pants by accident.
A sea shart.
That's not a shark fart. Did you just say a sea shart?
That's what I said.
It's a shark fart. It's a shart. A sea shart. A sea shark fart. It's a shart.
I knew that this story was going to get crazy, but you too. It has been a while since we have talked about the Bermuda Triangle.
I thought you said we're on the Gulf Coast.
I know, but listen. There are theories that methane bubbles of gas is what takes down planes and ships in the Bermuda Triangle.
Are you telling me that farts?
They can create sediment to stir up, resulting in a fog, which limits visibility. So there's 2 theories here. One, methane gas can cause hallucinations when you inhale it.
Yes.
So maybe this was all a hallucination.
Man.
Or 2, maybe the creature was brought to the surface by this bubble of methane. I'll let you think about which one I think is more accurate here. Another theory, which is probably the more like tragic story, or more tragic theory, I should say, is that it was just they drowned trying to get to shore. The waters were turbulent. They tried to swim. Brian survived. And because he was traumatized from everything, his brain kind of created this story to combat his survivor's guilt. Another theory number 3, is that they stumbled across drug smugglers and were killed.
Pirates.
Mm-hmm. Of the Caribbean.
Because they searched for their bodies and they only found one. They did not find the other 3, and they still have not. So they think maybe that they came across some drug smugglers, they were killed, and again, Brian somehow survived. They don't know how. He doesn't remember, and rewrote this as a monster that he saw on TV because that was better than his friends dying by a drug smuggler.
Real life pirates are very scary.
That's probably like I don't like that theory.
Oh, I liked it.
Lastly, and this is the theory I believe, perhaps it was not a sea creature, but a North Atlantic right whale.
What?
Do they look like Nessie?
Light poles?
Quote,
close eyes.
This whale, it's a very specific kind of whale, will rise mysteriously up out of the water, glides along, turns side to side, sometimes sinks back down without a trace. In the right or the wrong light, it can almost look invisible, and all you see is the skinny top part, which looks like a neck or head, kind of like Nessie. In fact, a couple of years ago, there was a sea serpent report with the YouTube videos, and this was taken back in Ireland, and it turned out to be a North Atlantic right whale, which was pretty rare in Ireland at the time, so they didn't know what it was, but they were like freaking out thinking this was like a sea serpent, and it was just a whale. So the size of this whale is about 10 feet long, and like I said, it can rise up, it kind of glides along, and then it goes back down, which matches exactly what McCleary's description was. They do come off the coast of Florida in the month that he saw it, which was March. They are still quite rare, though, and they do have their breeding grounds off of the coast of Florida during that time. So it's possible. It would have been a rare sighting, but it's not impossible. Rare enough that they wouldn't have known that it was a whale. And I'm going to show you what this whale looks like.
Oh, I see what you mean. Like it's got a little top section added to it.
It's got like a bulbous section.
Well, I wouldn't have called it bulbous.
Rising 10 feet, no, not necessarily, but rises up out that you wouldn't think that that's a whale.
They look like two creatures.
But if it's dark outside, it's raining, there's fog, you're not seeing that bottom part of the whale. You're just seeing that part coming up out. So theory behind this is that they panicked. They see this whale. They don't know what it is. And they were trying to swim the 2 miles, and there was heavy current, and they probably did drown. And he had survivor's guilt, and he interpreted this whale as a sea creature who killed his friends when probably they just drowned. Another theory, which I am not as on board with, but it is a theory, is that there was a submarine. This would explain the high-pitched whine that they heard. It would explain the bulbous 10 feet out of the air, like a periscope maybe. And maybe this coupled with fear, and again, I keep saying his survivor's guilt, but he did suffer from it. Maybe he interpreted that as a sea creature. The brain is amazing when it comes to trauma.
Okay, I agree with all that stuff.
Yes.
And that whale is very creepy looking.
The whale is creepy. It does not look like your typical whale.
I'll give you that. I will also say that we know almost nothing about the ocean.
That is very true. The ocean is
freaky.
Vast mystery that we will never know.
Yeah. So
have you seen, like, marine biologists have said we know, like, we know more about space than we do the ocean.
Exactly.
That's scary.
That's scary. And it's like right there in front of us. But like, I don't know. I don't think we'll ever know everything about the ocean. So
I could see how these boys' bodies were never found because the ocean is vast.
It's not just vast, but what the fuck lives in it that we don't know?
But that is the story of the Florida sea monster.
What if there is an alien base underwater?
2 miles off the Gulf of Mexico.
It's a perfect hiding spot.
There is a sandbar on this abandoned ship.
Yes, underwater.
It's an alien testing ship. It's an interesting story. This made the news. Like a sea creature made the news. That's kind of crazy to me.
I mean,
back in the 60s.
I like the story.
So you're saying you don't believe in sea creatures?
I do not.
How?
Not Shart.
You literally
and
just said
Nessie.
that we only know like 2% of the ocean.
I didn't say 2%. I don't know where you pulled that number out.
I was going to say 2. So.
So we know more about space than we do about the ocean. My theory is the whale. I think that he probably misinterpreted things, but I couldn't see him just fabricating this completely with his friends just drowning. Like, I think there was probably something there like that whale.
I think that's what your brain can comprehend.
Oh my gosh.
But I think that...
That is so condescending. That is what my brain can comprehend.
That's what
How
your
dare
brain
you?
can comprehend.
But my brain can comprehend this.
I believe that you believe that it was just a whale.
Yeah. That was literally the most condescending thing she has ever said to me.
I believe it's an alien or a deep sea creature.
I was going to say, you think alien over a whale.
I think that these boys could swim.
Yes,
I feel like they...
2 miles isn't that far.
2 miles is a lot to me. I would not be able to make it 2 miles.
They were experienced skin divers.
Which means they can, like, they were probably good swimmers, but they're also only 16 years old.
Yeah, but
in their prime.
In their prime. As somebody who was once 16.
In turbulent waters, in the dark.
I was much more in shape at 16 than I am now.
In turbulent waters, in the dark, in rain.
Yeah,
but it only rained because...
You think the sea creature controlled the weather?
The alien did. Yes. They do control the weather.
Yes, I do.
All right, I don't even have to ask Sarah where she is on this.
I've already answered.
She is on aliens.
That was always my go-to.
The alien sea creature. Because the aliens have to keep track of us. And so they keep in the deep sea so that we don't see them, but we sometimes see them.
So aliens are hiding in the ocean all this time, not up in the sky in their UFOs.
Both.
Some, yeah.
But, yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Thanks so much, guys, for tuning in this week for my commuter episode about the Florida sea monster. You can always find us at thetipsyghost.com and find our socials linked from there, or send us an email at thetipsyghost@gmail.com.
Please give us a 5-star rating and a great review anywhere you listen to podcasts. We really appreciate it, and it really does help.
All right, guys. Thanks so much. We will catch you next week.
Okay, bye.
Bye.